Hey Beyond Decadence fans, it's Chef Maria, and I'm here live in Huntersville, North Carolina to bring you another recipe. Thank you for voting in the poll. I asked you to continue to vote to let me know whether you'd like to see demos for recipes that are kid-friendly or if you just want to see ones that are focused on the adults. So I'd love your feedback. The poll runs for a little bit longer, but the longer you, or the faster you vote, then that way I'll know which videos to adjust as we move forward. What I'm gonna make today, I'm really excited because I was driving around and doing my deliveries today because I'm still offering contact-free delivery. My business is still operational. It's a very trying time for a lot of businesses. You know, as all of you know, we're all going through this together, but I'm still offering contact-free delivery for my bakery. So if you need anything and you're in the Lake Norman area, please order online and I'll get that to you. But as I was driving around today, I was trying to think, I'm like, okay, what do I want to make? Because I'm making all this fabulous stuff and showing you guys all these new recipes and techniques, but they're not things I have on my menu to sell. So you know what's happening is I'm eating them. Now I've shared some with my neighbors, but you know, I don't want to feed them, you know, every day, especially since we're, you know, all trying to stay away from each other. So I thought I needed to try something different today that wasn't, you know, chocolate or heavy cream laden. So what I thought of as I was driving around, I'm like, what can I show them today? What can I show them? I'm like, oh my goodness, wine gummies. Because I have wine. A lot of you know that I used to do work for a winery about an hour away from the Lake Norman area, Raffledini's. I used to do the desserts for their private wine club dinner, and I would go up there and do pop-ups as well and sell desserts. But it was about an hour away from the Lake Norman area, so it was just a little bit far, and it was a little bit far for customers from that area to connect with me down here, so I stopped doing that. But I still had some wine from them. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do something with wine today. So we're going to make wine gummies. Now I'm making a half of a batch because, like I said, I just don't need a full batch because it's just me and this isn't on my menu. So in my measuring cup, I've got half a cup of wine. So I'm going to pour that into my pot, my saucepan on my induction burner. Love my induction burner. Brought that out yesterday for the first time. And then I've got 1/4 of a cup of sugar. Now you could, I'm using a red wine. I'll turn it so you can see it here in a second and you'll see. So it's pretty dark. You could also, you know, add food coloring later. And then the last thing I'm going to add, now if you're vegan or vegetarian, then you're probably not going to be digging gelatin too much at all. And this is the stinkiest stuff ever created on the face of the planet, but you're not going to eat it in its raw form. So, hi, I see somebody join me. Thanks for joining. So this is unflavored gelatin. This is Knox. I don't get kickbacks from Knox by any means. I think they're probably the leader. And you're going to use 3 packets, which is actually an awful lot. But this is what we use for our gummies. And I'll show you the molds, which are really super cool. Now, I've got my gloves on. Make sure you get this right in the pot, because if you get the gelatin on the counter, and then as it, I'm going to turn this on low, get it going. Oops. If you get any of that on the counter and then it mixes with water, then it starts to, you know, become gelatinous, and it's just kind of gross and stinky. But once we have it in here, then you won't be able to tell. The smell will go away. And the gelatin itself is unflavored. So I've got 3 packets I'm putting in here, and like I said, this is just a half a batch. And so I've got 1/2 of a cup of wine and 1/4 of a cup of sugar. So I'm just going to stir this, and I'll show it to you as we go along. It's funny, with all the gelatin and the sugar, the color has already started to change. I'll show you really quick. It got dark really quick. But the key is not to rush this process, because once that gelatin hits the liquid and I can feel it start to thicken just a little bit, but once it starts to heat up, then it's going to dissolve, and then as it starts to cool back down, that's when it will start to thicken. So you definitely want to make sure that you have all the gelatin mixed in, because if you bite into a chunk of gelatin, you're not going to be happy. It's going to be like the most disgusting thing you've ever experienced in your life, really. And like I said, it doesn't smell pleasant when you open it. And I'm not trying to boil this. I'm trying to heat it up enough to make sure that it's at least hot. I'm going to go to probably just like a little bit of a steaming, not like a rip-roaring boil, and to make sure that all the gelatin is dissolved. Now I can hear that the sugar is dissolved. I'm not hearing that scraping sound that you were hearing a few minutes ago. Did you hear that? Did you guys hear that? And the thing I love about this induction burner is it heats up really quick. I've got it on a number setting, but I can change it so it's actually on a temperature, and I've got it at 180 degrees. So I'm going to let it heat until I can feel some heat starting to come off of it now. So I'll take it a little bit further. Like I said, I don't want to boil it. Yeah, I can see the steam coming off. I don't know if you guys can see that, how well that translates on camera. But bear with me because we're almost done. So while I'm stirring this, I'm going to just chat with you for a little bit. So my dad emailed me today. He would be mortified if I said how old he was. So I'll just say, you know, okay, it's warm enough now. I think it's trying to go into a boil. Yep, it is. So I'm going to shut that off. Okay. And I'll scoot that over. So he's like, are you staying in? He said, you know, the coronavirus is, you know, nothing to mess with. Are you staying in and not going out at all? And I didn't write him back yet. I don't want him to worry. But, you know, the reality is I'm a small business owner, and they did just lock things down in Mecklenburg County, so only essential businesses are allowed to still be open. I'm going to transfer this so you can see it. And as long as I'm doing delivery and not having contact with my customers, which I don't, I leave it on their doorstep. I ring the bell with a glove on and leave it on their doorstep and text them a picture so that way they know it was delivered. And then I go about my merry way. So I'm not having contact with customers, and I'm going through all the precautions as I'm making everything. So my poor dad is worried. He's like, are you staying in? Are you, you know, don't go anywhere. It's not worth it. So I didn't have the heart to answer him back yet and say, no, Dad, I'm still, you know, making deliveries and running my business. I'm thankful that people are still ordering and ordering desserts from me. Now let me show you these molds. I have two different molds. And I see there are statements or questions. I can't see them. Remember, these glasses are my distance glasses and the phone's too close, so I can't see what it says. This is a nice mold. This is a more expensive mold. I don't remember the brand. And this is a cheap mold. In the directions, and this recipe is online. This is not one of my super secret recipes. I just don't give out my super secret recipes. Sorry. It said that you could spray these with non-stick spray. Now, I don't doubt this cheap mold probably does need to be sprayed with non-stick spray. I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator or the freezer, and it should set up. But this is a cheap quality, and there's all sorts of silicone out there. And I've actually had some, I won't say what brand, that I've actually thrown out because things stuck and I couldn't get them out. And so I'm like, you know what? I've had it. I don't want to ever pick this up and use it again by accident. So into the trash it goes. So let me stir this a little bit one more time. Got a little layer on the top I can see. And what I've got in my hand, let me tell you, try not to drip this all over the place. There we go. I've got a little dropper, a little eyedropper. Now, if you're a rock star and you want to do it a different way, you just go right ahead. But I think the dropper in the recipe that I found online said use a dropper. So I'm going to use a dropper. So I'm going to fill a few of these, and I'm going to do the expensive mold that's a good quality, and then I'm going to put some in the not so expensive mold. And you definitely want to make sure that you put these on a rimmed baking sheet. Yeah, they call it a rimmed baking sheet, but you know, it's just, this is a half a sheet pan, and these fit well in my refrigerator, so that's what I use. So I'll fill a couple of these with the wine. Now, you could use a white wine, and if you use a white wine, then you would probably go ahead and add some color, you know, after you did the cooking portion, to stir in your drops of food coloring. But since this is already a very dark red, it's almost a purplish tint, there's no need to put any color in it because it's not like you'd see anything, right? So, anyway, so I'm going to fill these. And I'm going to have to do a part 2 and show you how these unmolded, because it's just not going to cool down fast enough to show you the finished product in this same video. I try not to do things ahead because then I just end up with tons of excess stuff that, you know, like I said, I don't need to eat, and I'm not selling it as part of my business right now. These are just videos I'm doing for fun to engage with you guys as we're all navigating this together. I know I've mentioned it a couple times, and I'm still working on it. It's wet, so it's going to get that extra water out. Still working on it, and I think I finally got it narrowed down to how I want to do it. An online course, which will be something that you can pay for, and I'll tell you the details of what it will include. I'll still do the short free videos, but I think there's people out there who want to learn more, have the time to learn more, and you have a household of kids home right now, so it might be something that you want to sit them down in front of as well. I think there's people out there looking for all sorts of levels of instruction for baking, and I know there are a lot of choices. I mean, you can go on YouTube and watch videos all day long, or Food Network. Every celebrity chef is doing videos right now, so there are a lot of choices. I just thought I would do something that would give you some more depth that I would have available for purchase if you like, because it's helping support my small business. Everything looks a little differently for all of us right now, and I thought that that was one easy way that I could jump onto the online community to help keep my business going through this pandemic, and then provide these shorter ones to you at, you know, for free. Now, if you still need desserts, you can still order those, and I'll do the doorstep delivery, the contact-free delivery. Just don't tell my dad. I don't want him to worry. So you get the idea. Now, actually, I think I'm going to go for broke, and I'm going to try pouring these because this little dropper is tedious. And like I said, these are wine gummies. So your kids might see them and think, oh, gummies for me. Because the pictures that you'll find online of these, they are little gummy bears. And I think that really is a little interesting, for lack of a better word, because kids could see those and pick them up and think they're just, you know, the gummy bears that they're used to eating and chow down on them. And there is a lot of wine in here, as you saw, compared to the sugar. So that could be an interesting situation. Now, also, I would ask you, again, if I could ask a favor of you, please like, comment, and share the videos. And I want to explain the reason why I keep asking you to share the videos, because Facebook is a global community, as we know, but I have actually had quite a few customers from out of state who have contacted me and purchased desserts. They may have seen the video, maybe somebody shared their website, but if you could help me during this time do that, that would be phenomenal. I would just appreciate you doing that. And then what they're doing is they're purchasing desserts and having them delivered to people here in the Lake Norman area. So I thought that was pretty cool. So you just never know the reach of Facebook or when you share. Okay, I'm almost done. So I've got some, oops, I should have filled that in a little bit more. So I've got some in the mold that I don't like, that I don't think is going to work out very well. And then I've got some in the nicer mold. Try to make sure you guys can see those. So that's why you put it on the sheet. I didn't drip all over the table, which was amazing. Drip all over there, which was amazing. But these will go in the refrigerator for a couple hours, or you can put them in the freezer for about 15-20 minutes. Any bubbles that you see on top, those bubbles will most likely be there when you get done. This is the bottom side of the wine gummies. That's a nice thing about it, because when you invert it and pop them out, then you're going to see the rounded side or the shape of the little mold. So there we have it. I'll come back with part 2 and show you how they came out after they're done. And I will see you guys next time. Remember, like I asked, please like, comment, or share the video with your friends. And I'll see you guys soon.